Sheryl Sandberg, the COO of Facebook, has started a new campaign to ban the word bossy from schools. Here's why. She says, "We call girls bossy on the playground. We call them too aggressive or other B words in the workplace. They're bossy as little girls, and then they're aggressive, political, shrill, too ambitious as women. We know that by middle school, more boys than girls want to lead," Sandberg said. "And if you ask girls why they don't want to lead, whether it's the school project all the way on to running for office, they don't want to be called bossy and they don't want to be disliked." And if you watch the news stories, they show footage of some girls and they ask the little girls, "Would you rather be liked or would you rather be a leader?" And they all said they'd rather be liked because if they were a leader, then people might not like them.
So what's more important, to be liked or to be a leader?
Be liked. If you're a leader, your friends will get mad at you and they won't want to be your friend anymore.
So here's my first question. Are leaders immune from criticism? I mean, the idea here is that there's little girls out there and maybe they're future leaders, but then someone calls them bossy and their psyche just crumbles and every bit of leadership potential that they had just spirals down the drain into oblivion. I mean, isn't that kind of silly? Because don't leaders have to be able to take criticism from other people and roll with it? Don't they have to have thick skin? I mean, President Barack Obama, for instance, I don't see anyone abstaining from criticizing him, and he's the leader of our entire fucking country. Well, depending on what your views are. I mean, maybe you think the corporations are the leader. There's a good case to be made for that. Maybe you think the Illuminati are the leaders. There's no good case to be made for that, but hey, you can believe it if you want to. It's a free fucking country. The point is that people feel free to criticize authority figures in America. So how can you possibly say that this criticism that is being offered to these girls is somehow going to destroy their capacity to be a leader? A true leader would hear, "Hey, you're being bossy," and say, "Oh yeah, I am. Well, that's because I'm your fucking boss, bitch. Get to work." I mean, another thing about this is, does every single girl have to be a leader? I mean, like, is it really so wrong for certain girls to prioritize being liked over being leaders? I mean, I would think that if a boy wanted to be liked instead of being a leader, everyone would be fine with that. I mean, I've never had some tremendous urge to be a leader in my life. I know that. I mean, I'd rather get along. I'd rather actually be by myself. And, you know, I'd rather, you know, have solitude and maybe a tight-knit circle of a few close friends, and I don't want to lead them. Does that mean there's something wrong with me as a male? I mean, how can you possibly say that just because a person is a certain gender, they have to adhere to some certain value system, and if they don't, then that must be wrong? And if what's happening here is that girls are saying that they'd rather be liked than lead, and that's a problem for whatever reason, then why not change that priority? Why not just say to girls, no, there's good reasons why being a leader might suit you better than just, you know, taking the path that's going to gain you the most popularity, that's going to get you the most liked. But I mean, in fact, being a leader, part of being a leader is being liked. I mean, you know, if you're a politician and everyone who meets you thinks you're a total fucking prick, chances are you're not going to win too many elections. If you can't smile and kiss the babies and look like a nice guy, seem like a nice guy to at least some people, you're probably not going to make a very effective leader. So being liked is actually a leadership characteristic, for fuck's sake. And I mean, this is one instance where I don't understand, how is it empowering girls to say that other people can't say things to them? Like, I mean, empowerment shouldn't come from silencing all dissent, from eliminating all criticism. Empowerment should come from teaching people how to accept criticism. And I have another question. What about girls who are actually acting bossy? What about girls who say, oh, you know, they go up to another kid in the playground and say, "Oh, you're playing with this ball? Too bad, it's mine now." And that kid says, "Hey, you're you know, it's not your ball." And she's like, "It is my ball." "Well, you're being bossy." "Oh," and then the teacher comes and it's like, "Hey, you can't call her bossy. You're crushing her leadership potential for the future." It's like, well, what? So, you know, she's just supposed to have her way and just be a spoiled fucking brat? Just because those might at some point in the future be leadership characteristics? Wouldn't you think that compromise would be a better leadership characteristic than just getting your fucking way all the time? And I want to say that, maybe I'm off base on this because I'm not a woman. I wasn't raised a girl. I don't have the female experience on this, and I'm perfectly willing to admit that. But what I did have was the male experience, and the male experience was if some other kid calls you a name or someone puts a label upon you, you stand up for yourself. You tell them to go fuck themselves. And I think that that's a better system. And I don't think it's a better system because it's the male system, quote unquote. I think it's a better system because it respects the autonomy of other people. It doesn't try to control their language. It doesn't try to tell them what they can say because, maybe it'll have some sort of emotional or psychological impact on you. Like, by the way, what is the evidence here that this word is causing this problem? I don't buy it. I don't buy that if we just eliminate the word bossy, all of a sudden, these little girls who are supposedly having their leadership qualities crushed like soda cans are somehow going to miraculously, it's like their self-esteem and ego is just going to go through the roof and the sky is going to be the limit for them, all because we eliminated the use of a particular word. What is the hard evidence that this is the case? I mean, before we start trying to control people's language, before we start trying to control people's behavior, before we start trying to ban certain behaviors, where is the real fucking evidence that they're even harmful in the first place? Basically, Sheryl Sandberg decided that the word bossy had this effect, and now she's made a national campaign out of it, and everyone's jumping on the fucking bandwagon, and no one's asking the question, hey, is this even going to do a goddamn bit of good? And no one's looking at the other side of the equation saying, hey, maybe this isn't such a good idea to try to tell people that they're not allowed to stand up for themselves against, like, if you're telling little boys, don't stand up against little girls who boss you around. You're telling other little girls, don't stand up against your friends who boss you around. You're telling teachers, don't correct this sort of behavior when you see it in kids. You're telling parents, don't, if your little girl wants to just, order everyone around and act like she controls the world, that's fine because that's her leadership potential. I mean, I'm sorry, I don't buy it. I recognize that there's a lot of angles that you could approach this from. I mean, there's probably other points of view, and I'm open to all those points of view, and I hope that if you differ from my opinion in any way, leave a comment in the comment section and understand that I want to have a discussion about this. I don't want to just be like my opposition here and just declare myself correct, because I don't know that, but I think I am. If you like my videos, you probably like this fucking book. Who wrote that? Oh, I wrote that. Cool! I wrote a book!